always connected to you, nothing of us and everything of you. O Lord, lead us higher, lead us deeper, and lead us beyond, and lead us to you. O Lord, today is the gift you gave it to us, and how we use today is our gift unto you. Brothers, let us join and say Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us.
Honorable members, yesterday, the Honorable Member for Abao Sepukatemu referred a question to the Chair regarding the deaths related to the use of a medical drug called propofol. The question is, can the Chair ensure that the Public Accounts Committee is called immediately to investigate this very serious and sad matter? The Public Accounts Committee is established under Section 216 of the Constitution. That same provision in Part 5 of the Public Finance Management Act provides for the powers and functions of the Public Accounts Committee. The Public Accounts Committee's primary function is to examine and report to the Parliament on the public accounts of Papua New Guinea and on the control of and on transactions with or concerning the public monies and property of Papua New Guinea. This extends to any accounts, finances, and property that are subject to inspection and audit by the Auditor General. Any member of the Parliament may move for the reference to the committee of any question in connection with the public accounts for a report to the Parliament. Recently, the Public Accounts Committee tabled a very comprehensive report on the 9th of September 2020, that's exactly a year ago, on the Department of Health procurement of medicines. From that report, 15 recommendations were tabled and adopted by the Parliament. And I believe that all members of Parliament have the report and the recommendations in it. Recently, the Public Accounts, I have signed these recommendations and forwarded them to the Office of the Prime Minister for consideration and appropriate action. The Public Accounts Committee examined the public account of Health Department and other matters the committee considered was of national importance. It is important to note the PAC examined and report on financial related matters. Honorable members, after careful consultation with the Chairman of the Public Account Committee, the investigation of deaths related to the drug propofol may not be within the jurisdiction of the Public Accounts Committee. I agree that this is a serious matter concerning the welfare of our people, and I'm saddened by deaths in our hospitals that could have been avoided. I encourage those responsible to ensure that the investigations are completed in a timely manner so that accurate corrective measures can be taken by responsible authorities. Thank you. Honourable members, I have to inform the Parliament that the second group of students of the Public Policy Management Students Association at the University of Papua New Guinea are present in the public gallery. And B, teachers and students of St. Patrick's School, Gabone Central Province are present in the public gallery. And C, that councillors from Tambul, Neblia, Open Electorate in the Western Highlands Province are present in our public gallery. On behalf of the National Parliament, I welcome them. Petitions, notices, questions without notices, 45 minutes. The Honourable Member for Yangaru South here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask a number of questions to the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade, specifically in relation to our trade priorities. And it is key to building our economy, and this country needs to know, and Parliament needs to know, and our country needs to know what are the government plans on the future of trade and which countries we are going to prioritize trade with into the future. Mr. Speaker, as you know, Papua New Guinea is part of a world system called the WTO multilateral trading system, which is a rule-based trading system. And trading in the world is administered by the World Trade Organization based in Geneva. Mr. Speaker, Papua New Guinea can't do without world trade and trade partnerships and trade arrangements. The most important one we currently have is the interim partnership agreement we have, trade agreement we have between Papua New Guinea and the European Union. This trade agreement is the most successful trade agreement we have that allows us to have duty-free market access to the European market of 500 million people, basically for our tuna and our fisheries products. As a result of this trade agreement, it gave rise to the growth of our fisheries sector, and in particular, the manufacturing sector in fisheries, because we have direct market access to that market. It's the most important market access we have. In the region, we have the MSG trade agreement. That trade agreement allows us to export goods into MSG member countries. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure all of you recall the trade war we had with Fiji, which we won, and finally we were allowed to export ox and palm biscuits and other goods to Fiji. Mr. Speaker, it has been concerning that our country, after the launch of the trade policy, we haven't done much work in the trade area. We all know the most important trade market for us, potential market, is Indonesia. That's where our future is in terms of international trade. In terms of Australia, we have knocked back the push to get Papua New Guinea to sign the trade agreement called PESA Plus, because it would have been a one-sided trade agreement which would greatly favor Australia. They can't even allow us to export our popo and taro into the Australian market because of their very strict phytosanitary rules. But they're able to allow Fiji and Tonga and Samoa to export all those agricultural products into their market. Mr. Speaker, in order for Papua New Guinea to open trade with Indonesia, which is a country of 280 million people, with an annual economic growth of 5%, population growth of 1.1, we have a land-based border with them, and we have done nothing really to enhance trade with Indonesia. It's a gold mine waiting to be opened. To do trade with Indonesia, Mr. Speaker, we have to have a wharf in Wanimo and Wewak. We are still waiting for these two wharfs to be funded. We need to have a duty-free market trade agreement with Indonesia. So my questions to the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade are, one, Minister, do you realize, does the government appreciate that our biggest trade opportunity in terms of foreign trade is with Indonesia? That's question number one. Question number two, what is the government doing to develop a trade agreement with Indonesia? That's question number 2. If we started or even done a feasibility on the viability of such an arrangement, and if we started the negotiations leading to a free trade agreement, Australia has just concluded theirs with Indonesia. Question number 3. We don't even have the basic infrastructure to do trade with Indonesia, like wharves in Wewak and Vanim.
Honorable member of the Younger me interrupt you person. Honorable members, na all visitors of the public gallery, as me talk sabe pinisol sem by nogat phone, earring, house rules sem talk also. So put them all phone blah off or you go silent mode. Because me not hesitate now to ask him sergeant of arms lo come na rouse him this la phone blue you na bien meeting finish you karem you all give him you back. Honorable member of the Younger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My last question is, Mr. Speaker, can the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade, who's responsible for international trade, give an undertaking to Parliament and to the people of our country that he will make it his business to work with the Planning Minister and the Transport Minister to please secure funding for these 2 important wharves, Wewak and Vanuatu, so we can start talking about a trade agreement and start working towards building a strong trading relationship with Indonesia, which is our biggest trade opportunity. Our coffee, our cattle, our oil palm, and rice, and whatever else in future needs to go to that market, which is just next door. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the member for Yangoro for these very important questions or series of questions that he has raised. Of course, trade is very important to any economy or any country. It's a lifeblood of any country, especially ensuring that we raise adequate revenue to meet our expenditures. Therefore, it's very important. In terms of questions being raised, as far as the issue of international trade is concerned, yes, it's under Foreign Affairs and International Trade. It's one area that has been, particularly international trade, has been moved from one organization to another for 14 times in the last 20 years. Eventually, it has gone back to Foreign Affairs, and now it is part of my ministry. We take international trade as very serious and very important component of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, particularly in terms of connecting the outside world, outside economies to Papua New Guinea to do business in Papua New Guinea. Without outside intervention into connecting or investing into our economy, we cannot grow economy. Now, having said that, I thank the member for Yangoro and Mr. Speaker. The situation is obvious. Our economy has been affected by COVID-19, and it's not only Papua New Guinea, but all over the world. COVID-19 is affecting the way people do business today and how we do business between countries, especially when it concerns international investments are concerned, and particularly direct foreign investment into our economic space. Now, coming back to what has been raised by the honorable member, yeah, there are lots of agreements that exist. Obviously, the important one he made reference to is the World Trade Organization, which is Geneva-based. That organization and the trade agreement that we have entered into still exists and still function. That's the reason why our fisheries products are being sold to European market, and it is one of the biggest revenue earner for Papua New Guinea. In the regional setting, which he made reference to, which is especially the issue of a Melanesian Spearhead Agreement, that policy exists. Obviously, this reference to Fiji has been one of the contentious issue, which when he was the Minister for Commerce and Industry, has pushed to access Fiji market for our tin meat and other products, which he has succeeded. And the issue still remains that it is between these two countries that continue to invite and accept each other's good under this agreement. He made reference to Pleasure Plus, which is an Australian trade agreement. This particular issue is of concern, of course, to our country. It is more of a requirement that is bio related. We cannot export any taro or any garden fruit to Australia unless we meet certain requirements, and that comes under NACIA, agriculture. And this is ongoing discussion that we have been having. One of the recent discussions that we have raised recently is to do with reviewing and continue to ask Australians to look at this issue so that we can access the market in Australia, particularly having our taro and other garden fruit to have access to Australian market. Yes, it raises a question as to why there has been preferential treatment in relation to Fiji accessing the Australian market in terms of its food crops entering Australia. Now, Member made reference to Indonesia as important and biggest market. Yes, Indonesia like.
We have a point of order. Honorable Governor Foro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a matter of clarification. The reasons why our products cannot enter Australian markets has nothing to do with preferential treatment. It's got everything to do with the fact that they have very strict biosecurity, phytosanitary requirements that we have not met. And basically, it is our fault. Fiji, Samoa, all these other countries have gone ahead and they have met their requirements and they have put in place the necessary policies and infrastructure so it can allow them to enter their markets because they have met their requirements. We simply haven't done that. So someone has fallen asleep in NACIA or Department of Agriculture or one of these organizations. They have simply not done that. I just wanted to clarify here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Governor, for nodding for explaining that. Actually, that's the most important requirement that is lacking, and as he has rightly pointed out, somebody somewhere is not doing his or her part. That's the reason why our garden producers are not accessing Australian market because of biosecurity issues. So it's something that the Agriculture Minister can take note of and fast track insofar as addressing this issue that has been outstanding for some time. Coming back, Mr. Speaker, to the issue of Indonesia has been one of the biggest markets. Yes, Indonesia. We have neighbors who are very big markets. Indonesia is one of them. So is China, Japan, Korea. These markets exist. And it's up to our countries to prepare ourselves to getting access to this market. Sometimes it requires government to take the lead in terms of promoting our products overseas. Sometimes it requires private sector intervention themselves. And I think there were several such interventions have been made, one of which I can recall is former Prime Minister leading a delegation to South China, thus creating that connection that is needed. for markets in China and suppliers in Papua New Guinea. Indonesia exists to be one of those important closest markets. And I think if we enter into this type of agreement, it also comes back, Mr. Speaker, incumbent on suppliers on our side of the coin to constantly continue to supply the demands that are created. We have that potential to do that. I think this is one of the weaknesses that we have, but we need to address as a country, particularly as we go out and seek outside markets for our product. We need to constantly supply those markets. Now, coming back to what the member has raised in relation to, let me refer to the infrastructure as one of the most important issues, which is now stopping or prohibiting. And he made reference to Vanimo and WIWEC. These are very important centers which connects to Indonesia. And I know of special economic zones being constructed. In 2000, there was that free trade zone concept in which Vanimo and WIWEC were part of that concept to develop better wharfage. And the current government and previous government also looked at 4 such locations to develop proper wharfage. And Vanimo and WIWEC are part of that. And I think government is looking at it under this special economic zone concept. That is issue that I can take it up, as you have asked me to do so, with Minister for Planning, as well as Minister for Transport. In terms of the issue of finding the market, as you made reference to, this is an ongoing issue. I think how do we connect the overseas market? And ongoing and most traditional, Mr. Speaker, connection is promotion. And because of COVID-19, all these issues have come to stand still, except Exposition 2020, which is now being opened in Dubai. And this is an important occasion in which Papua New Guinea can expose its potential in terms of natural resources, as well as tourism potential. And in preparation for that, government has established a ministerial committee which I chair, which encompasses different ministries, including finance and planning, who are part of that ministry, and including senior departmental, interdepartmental committee that also looks at this to ensure that Exposition 2022 to be successful, so that we can adequately promote our country, expose our potential, so that those who are attending, I've been told there are about 200 participants from different parts of the world. And it's a good opportunity to market our produce and our culture, our tourism potential. Well, one thing that I have also made it known to, Mr. Speaker, exposition overseas are expensive options. And it has been the experience of this country in the last, I think, 40 years. It raises a question as to whether we do really benefit from this exposure. But that's our experience of the past. So what we have done, what I have done in terms of, Mr. Speaker, addressing that issue of whether we have been benefiting, is to ensuring that people who are now participating are people who are actually businessmen who are involved in agriculture, in tourism, and whatever field that we are now promoting overseas. In doing so, those people can make connections rather than public servants
go in there, spending time, come in and try to pass on that responsibilities to people who are actually the service providers, and thus we find that there's no connection. So this exposition is slightly different because I made it quite clear from the beginning that we should involve people who are actually involved in this business. So when they come back, they can connect and then they can also benefit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member of Lomeniamia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before me asking question, me mila salim greetings blow. People Lomeniamia become law you blow the leaders stop in this house. Me like directing masking blow me, you know, got talk sawa, you go Honorable Prime Minister, na Honorable Works Minister, you can kiss in note. Speaker, law number 18 day of June 2001, one below official groundbreaking ceremony being come up law Bulolo, law launching lay to Bulolo highway road maintenance, na resealing law display important highway. Law display day you yet Honorable Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Sam Basil, Works Minister Honorable Michael Nally, Works Secretary David Were, Australian High Commissioner, even stopped one time launching. Mr. Speaker, he coming up now, 2 moon ago, 3 weeks. He go finish. I know got work come up yet, na this highway, he bugger up through. Start 9 mile turn off, lay, you go on top of Pine Top Bulolo town. Now you go over the Lomeniamia. Bulolo Meniamia highway and Bami call him or some loose thinking highway. So this is government. Speaker, lay Bulolo Wow Meniamia highway and one important road inside Morobe province, na country too. And one economic corridor road long one Emi Karim. Coffee, mining activities work come up hub, PNG forest product, Genetic farm, Wapi gold mine, prospect, stop, big population sleep inside long this region. Kisim hub law, Bura 1 hour long, Eastern Islands, people, na all Gab province, we said is stop long, on top of mountain, we said stop, benefit of this highway. Speaker, new plus thinking law, come up in connect PNG law, walking road na slogan, kissing back PNG. Me like asking you, Prime Minister, when I'm time by this resealing long 9 mile turn off to Pine Top, Bulolo town by start. In a view talk straight, who said he found him this resealing long this highway road. Now how much money by cost him? In a you me or government kiss him back this highway road because I'm taking longer time through work start. All the business now people belong this side country by Hamamas through back in you Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank you, Member of Lomeniamia, for asking this question. A come this important road. Me like talk sawe. Remember last week, Thursday me go stop long Mumang station. Time me open meeting long Wafik Olpu pre-development forum on Tamal Papa Crown province district authorities. And after meeting, me drive down from this road from 6 o'clock, we go 7, we go Malo Long Lay. Me looking state road. Me confirm was some road in the Stablo Goodla State. In fact, there's a very important economic road. Me Antablo this road. Jinak Farm, Antablo this road. PNG Forest, Antablo this road. Hidden Valley. Isinan, Antablo this road. Plenty of alluvial activities. Long Goli, Isinan Antap. Antablo this plenty coffee stop. It's a very important economic road. Not just into Wow and of course down to Garana and this place, but also the other 10 of that goes to Miniama, right into Miniama where there's a lot of coffee and people are. I do acknowledge that the funding that was allocated through a program with the Australia government grant is just for maintenance, in along making permanent intervention on this road. And so me look how we could bridge in this maintenance program. Want to more national government permanent intervention. Making me restored back. Especially time me drive out from Mumbai come down, me looking, I was quite concerned with the passage coming out along this area into the Makam Valley. It was very, very in terrible state. And me asking Works Department finish, go make him costing, scoping, this section and PNG government fund. In fact, last year and this year, we will put him close to 40 million kina this section of the road, long as part of our Connect PNG program, long crossover come long Kantiba na Kerama site, which will be a 5 to 10 year consistent funding program. We will give him eventually open this road. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg him talk to Logan this maintenance funding where Australia government to support Longol road. This is the SSIP program, only making throughout the country. There's a segment of road, people holding back, looking how people could marry him, bridge him our own government's permanent program instead of just maintenance on top long. This program, a 66 million kina for a 3-year maintenance program. I felt that you could convert him this going to overlay one government program and make him, instead of just patch him all potholes or make him drainage and maintenance, you may could upgrade him into a proper road where you may deliver him at least first stage, go inside long Mumeng, pass also, and the 10 of along Minima too, you may see him go inside by more good pla than just maintenance can, already bagarab can. So, Mr. Speaker, lo back and talk to look member, people holding back, lo try and look him how Works Department, this la contract issue finish could be married into not just a maintenance program, but proper upgrade and sealing in this important road. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You may get supplementary, but you ask him supplementary, Pastor Lodesla ask him. No can ask him a question because for me, Sianon of Laramio.
Supplementary question, Blomigo, Prime Minister. Me, Amamas Laurent Blomen, walk him Lulu, long up, long big heavy road, or projection, or this plugin, the Miamamas, Lois government. Question Blomi also Prime Minister, long up long Papua New Guinea. Main towns long Papua New Guinea, Mogotagat Kolta. Suppose you go to Manus, the place below you, Speaker, you got Kolta, the town belong Manus. You go along Samarai, you got Kolta. You go along Lane, Logotab, Kimbe, you got Kolta. Now, question below me also, even place below me, Lontari, you got Kolta. One time through by Prime Minister Kamlo Mede. Time Ibla Magimem was some Prime Minister, Tubla Tami Magimem. Sambala Manlo here inside of Parliament now, they may no Magimem. Emi Abrushi Mideng, time me Hare, me come Golom Bogia, and kiss a helicopter airport, and Golom Bogia. Time me go Bundi, kiss him helicopter and Golom Bundi. Time me go Simba and kiss him helicopter long again, Golom Simbai.
Honorable Governor.
Question blow me, Speaker, I go straight lo him.
Honorable.
One time through Prime Minister, I grow up lo meeting.
Honorable Governor. Honorable Governor, can you resume your seat?
Me ask him no point.
Ask him you now. I'm no supplementary. I'm no ask him. So you receive him, Mr.
I'm the road. Me come now, Speaker.
I'm
now. Road now.
Please. You sit down now.
Become the road speaker, please. You let me ask him the question. I'm important.
Na Banubla ask him. No supplementary.
The question blow me now. Me come to point speaker. One time by Emmy walking road blow meeting. One time by walking road blow meeting. PIP project money me cut him lo budget blow meeting. Me give him long this parliament long approve him. Money go on DDA, money go on Narbla road. One time by him stealing road blow meeting and promising me 2 blow time. Former Prime Minister working road blow meeting and me called her put him 10 million. This black government in working meeting is so beautiful. All the tablo Papuni got colta, meeting no got colta. You may run on Bundi Road. Have question blow me, talk him in.
Okay, this is question. Out of supplementary no block question. So me la Prime Minister, you don't have answer him. Me ask him no block question. Sir, honorable member. Honorable member, block Kokopo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Finally, you give Tokorat Lomi. Asking Lomi Golo, Minister of State Owned Enterprise. Mr. Speaker, in 2014, Kokopo was declared as a fourth city law, Papua New Guinea. In doing so, one big pla construction, a design been come up. The big pla sewage project, the Kokopo City, which cost him almost 88 million. And the construction start March 2016 and 2019. The construction involving 4 parties, which is the provincial government, design, a contractor, and the major contractor, GRA, which is Gazelle Restoration Authority. Enough this time, Mr. Speaker. This project has been complete, and I take this time to thank the former government, Big Pla construction, all been working, is distributed. But in doing so, however, this project may stop sleep idle or same after almost 4 years, Mr. Speaker. I don't know for what reason, what the PNG step in, connecting Eagle residents, even the pond itself, it's an ISO. So as you go to Balus, you put down the tokwa, but you look at pond, bush may come up. So simple question from me to you, Mr. Speaker, to the minister responsible, is water PNG going to connect this sewage project to the residents of Kokopo and continue with operations, or by NOGAT? Is it because in the initial stages, although we include them all in the design and construction of the project, and simple question from me to you, Mr. Speaker, to the Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the member for Kokopo for this question. As the good member for Kokopo himself said, it is true that at the initial stages, at the design, planning, and construction stages, Water PNG Limited was not involved and was not a party to this contract. The contract was negotiated between the National Department of National Planning, GRA, and the Eastern Region Provincial Government for an amount of 87.8 million kina. Unfortunately, this contract did not extend to the connection of the sewage systems to households as well as business houses. Water PNG is not at this stage even sure whether the required environmental permits were issued for this project. It was only after the project was said to have been completed that Water PNG was then invited to come in. By that time, most of the work that had been done and even incomplete could not be rectified. And so, although Water PNG does have a presence in Kokopo Town as well as Rabaul, in relation to this particular sewage project, Water PNG was not involved in any stage of this project. And so, Water PNG now, Mr. Speaker, at this stage is reviewing. It has already engaged an independent consulting engineer to review the work that was carried out by the contractor. Findings have now been brought to Water PNG. Mr. Speaker, and Water PNG is actually looking at them. As we all know, the issue of connection to the households and business house requires an additional contract. We have this system that is there. The contractor has built water reticulation systems, sludge tanks, pumps, the whole works, but it is still yet to be connected to the customer. So, Mr. Speaker, to cut a long story short, Water PNG has now been allowed to take over this project, and it is already engaged in needs to conduct the review. The report is now before Water PNG. We are now looking at funding it. So I can assure the good member for Kokopo that although it was not involved at the initial stages, Water PNG, being a responsible company, will do what it is required to ensure that the sewage system is then connected to the households and the business house. So, Mr. Speaker, I can assure once again that Water PNG is looking at it, and hopefully within the next couple of months, Water PNG should be able to work out the costings and then, unfortunately, engage a contractor to work on the connection systems. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, all honorable members. Chair, make him clear also. You me all honorable members, no can use him supplementary long, ask him no block question. Because since Tuesday time, Parliament and start sit down again. And we got plenty of honorable members of Parliament will start stand up, lo ask him long all. You know got talk sabe longan. Where you know got enough time na siya, emi look sabe long all finish all stand up. Na time all stand up come today, emi like mark him all. Na you said honorable member now, but you use him this blah. Supplementary provisions, lo ask him no block question and was no entertaining. So me ask him all honorable members, suppose you got right, lo ask him no block question. So one time this plan now, I'm honorable member of Central Bougainville now, see I look sabelo you lo ask him question because you've been sent up since Tuesday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ask him me. I'm not stable question paper. Na igolong Minister of Lands. Na Minister for Bougainville Affairs long. Take note, obviously, is the Prime Minister. Lo benefit long lo applicants long child block ground. My question falls within Part 14 of the Papua New Guinea Constitution, the organic law on peace building for Bougainville, and the Bougainville Peace Agreement. Asking Blomi, MOSM, this lab, in line with transfer of powers, one law, can the minister confirm that the lands powers have been transferred to Bougainville? And can also the minister inform this honorable house and the people of Papua New Guinea or Bougainville, who's at the Oklong lodging ball application, Sikamlo Lands Department, that where they should be lodging those the applications. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
For your very important question. Mele Toksa da solo sem a couple of months ago in my capacity as the Lands Minister on the Department Blumi and acting with under the Bougainville Peace Agreement. We were the first department to transfer the functions and powers of the Minister and the Department of Lands to the people of Bougainville through the ABG. So all the application block giraun, all the physical planning, the kind something or some lands. And we're going to now stop la hand you play it, you play lo walk him na plan him direct in future you play it lo one him walk lo, especially under the land department or physical planning powers. It was a very momentous moment. I was very privileged to be the minister that paved that way for the people of Bougainville. So Toksa clear also mogada physical planning board powers, same time to appoint a physical planning board, and same time to me give him land board powers also this time too. Lands department now I've signed up one time give him guidance, technical advice. So we'll continuously visit Bougainville na halbim yupla lo. Make certain that ogara disla work na technical backup lo. Line blimilo Bougainville, but the staff to support him na. Make certain ogara something come up lo. Thank you very much.
Honorable Member of Long, Wiwek, you make a point of order?
Respect. Me raising question where you interrupt na he talk also by no not entertain him. Now you must look Sabelo is the chair because the me look Sabelo chair. Now this question important of people who meeting. Now me think also Prime Minister suppose you know eminent interim is the question. You know go good through long thinking all look Sabelo people who meeting. This la today me Rodi Bagarab na all you same second gear na first gear inshallah town blow meeting. Now, please, Speaker, me like him, you must entertain him. This la question, me like him, Prime Minister must answer this la question because me hard na, big blow where big blow activity blow meeting take place and meeting hard blow you me talk to. You know, hare Bundi Road or Simbai Road or Bogia Road or this blow no god. Now me been approaching Prime Minister long how much time the office blow finish. So it is important in the best interest of people of Medellin. They must know, please, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Governor. Point of order, you out of order, but Sia by look sabe you after lo haskim blonga. Honorable Member Wiwek. So behind longan, but Sia look sabe you. Honorable Member Wiwek.
Thank you, Luke Savelo. People of Wiwek. Western Blamium Sotla. Milak direct team long Minister of Works. Mr. Speaker, firstly, me like Luke Savelo. Good work our good minister is doing around the country. Making sure that Department of Works and got visibility inside the functions belong, especially the implementation of infrastructure around the country. Putting together national road plan, the corporate plan, the development strategic plan 2013 to 2030. Now lately, launching a Connect PNG program where I'm looking plenty all powers, the functions belong. Work the road, now I'm going to come up all districts, now province long, work him. So me like to commend him. Minister, long visibility. Now good pla work long inside the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question below me. MOSM, time good pla work will come up. Minister, you got plenty all man line 2 all local time lo bagare work below you. Some blabblongol, I mean like ask him this question. Long inside Long Isipik province, Minister, time government putting money going on long. Connect PNG program, plan the old district, all got work blow road. All got work blowing all district road, town road, plan the old work go on. The Miller talk, thank you, the government of Disla. But time if la work is some of this work. People are spending big money long all private contractors. Minister, question me Mosem. Are you aware that some machine were allocated long all PDD arrangement where me stop the province lo Isipik, where me blow district na blow usim, lo cut him down cost, blow walk a road. Some blow this machine, only move him go to Nabla province, now start Sundown province. Some blow this contract where have been come up, Now use him the machine, all contractor, only no got capacity. Only no got capacity. Namila ask you, Sam, how true Department of Works emsa give model contract or contractor? One of criteria also use him. Also give him contract long online no got machine or online got machine. Now people will work only suffer because people are walking all road, using all funds where government give him, but plan the blood destroy machine you know stop more long PDD we work. I'm go stop long vanimo. Or some minister, you know you confirm whether destroy machine you plus salim or not. Because contractor Karim go now Rosim stick up the DOW, put him all stick up long all yet. Now work on Nabla province. Namila ask you, Minister, you know you confirm was and destroy machine but stop Kota Lap or come back to Wewek. Because meeting was him, Mipla took at ECB big province. Now Mipla got plenty work come up, especially inside the electorate Blemila Wewek. Now Nalpla district 2. Now you may depend on this equipment block government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Law Works.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Member of Law. We work last game this very important question. Mr. Speaker, I'm asking long two point one Department of Works and using one kind criteria law, giving contract go out long all contractors. Now inside the question plan me to go some sample of contractors only got equipment. No got capacity. Second question belongan and mosam all equipment blow ECP ki go stop law sundown law working all equipment and I need law PTD away stop law ECP ki go stop law sundown whether the law equipment but come back or no got. So Mr. Speaker, pass them through me answering the question law how Department of Works is awarding all contracts. You got two kind contract can be placed away award him. One play me pro forma, anything below 500,000 coming down to as low as maybe 100,000 or 50,000. Working more emergency work na kind of same. This is responsibility and me plus I entrust him. We go along all provincial works managers blah blah we're only looking more say me got some emergency work. Me plan need lo working long all roads inside the country. Is a Pundani inside of the category where pro forma invoices are raised by the department, by the provincial works manager, and then is a go long endorsement the regional works manager, and then finally it ends up at the table of the secretary of the Department of Works. So, the process stop where provincial works manager me playing part belonging and then I'm going to regional works manager and approval come long secretary blow works. So me believe was a process me want la good blah process. Me play trust him all workman blah na me play working this la work. But as always the case, there may be one or two who said he's abusing this league. We know that, but as soon as we are notified, Mibla investigate, some time Mibla is taking action long discipline him this officer. So that's one process where it's come up. Local short emergency work program. The second one, it just goes through the normal process law tender, where projects above law 10 million and below law 10 million and NPC national tenders bodies are awarding. Anything bigger than that comes to me, which I take to the National Executive Council for approval and contracts awarded. Mr. Speaker, I think important something that we must talk about here. Me was process law looks away. We said when a company me got capacity lo working work em stop. Lo me was a minister long time lilig now, close to 4 years. Was a minister lo works. I do my job. Mr. looking one more capacity company got all big black capacity. Kind of some Lois na Wesipik. He got Green Hill and stop. He's one of the biggest contractor we have in East and West Pacific. Below that, he got all legal contractors too, only stop. So, process and stop. So, as member, I'm looking for someone like contractor. I mean, I got equipment. I'm using equipment, blow works department, law, working work na starting my business plan, and we can talk away. Now, I will take that up with the secretary, so we can talk one them. Provincial works manager and a regional works manager, and if the secretary establishes that there is some foul play or some work in the working straight, he can take action at this level. Lo karamol machine from ECPIC, Igolo Wesipik, Mr. Speaker, all the equipment and all equipment block government. So suppose you know, got some walk inside law or some emergency walking me stop inside long. Yisipik na nala brother province long Wesipik me need him some assistance. Me no looking this loss and me one pla asua. Those equipments are there to attend to emergencies, so they can be utilized. Lo emi toko se moli rosim sticker blow works department na putting more na sticker na using more some private equipment. I am not aware of that, but me at my finding out through law department, me can advise him member law this bien. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You may got point of order. What's your point of order, Honorable Member for work?
Awesome. Me ask Minister Osem, this law machine goes to Lavanimo and blow Wewek PDB. Nape Mausuri me Osem, this law machine back and back Wewek or no God. We said Karim go, now how will freight him all this law machine go na? We said I'm responsible, look, this law machine come back Wewek. Because me got work to Wewek.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Lord Sloken. Inside long law department blow you me. And I need law the assistance program blow Japanese government. You got all certain regions where government where government is identify as all disaster areas. So kind of same long East New Britain na lo West New Britain. You mean I got volcanic.
Honorable Minister, I think the honorable member for Wewek has a direct question. May you answer him directly?
Mr. Speaker, I am coming to that. You are interjecting for nothing.
No, I am not interjecting for nothing.
Mr. Speaker, I respect you, but I'm trying to say that the Japanese government has given equipments to the people of Papua New Guinea and has allocated equipments per region. So one machine is stop inside lo isipik, emblong sipik na momase, inomblong Wewek tasol. What I'm trying to say is the equipment that are sitting in Rabaul are also for West New Britain. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's how it's floated.
You go straight to the point and answer.
Now you kiss him.
Thank you. No, you know me kiss him. You pull him plenty talk to Honorable Minister. Because plenty of members listen up or like ask him question at time you will win. Honorable Governor Blomedang, Siena will look over you. Answer, ask him you. MC now I'm using discretion will Larry Memi answer him the last question.
Speaker, okay, by me, by last question, but Lulu long was Tini Blom, planning member, Tini will extend him time, but since you took last question, by me, last question. Enough me ask him chair long, use him discretion, will extend him time more. Me move also by you may extend him time long.
Time you go finish, so I'm talk finish, I'm last pla ask him come you.
Thank you, Speaker. Question below me, I go straight long Prime Minister and long Minister below works, don't take note. Question below me go also, okra talk me okay finish. Mani kadiana, you me okra finish. Migolong point thread. Prime Minister, main road blow Medeng town national declare road. Na Minister of the Works sabe, Minister of the Transport sabe. The Minister of the former government, Minister of the Transport and Works, display road national declare road, hard blow Medeng. One kind of some Hagen road, hard blow Hagen. One kind of other road of Papua where main road is stopped, declare road, belong national government, a responsibility of the national government. Question below me also, this road, where former government he put him 10 million, a walking road inside the hard blow Medeng Pinis. Let me thank you, former government. Long Mr. Peter O'Neill. This was time Minister, Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, and we don't thank you, Loen, no look sabe, to put the money come to Medeng. Question below me goes straight, Speaker. Inablo emiet come na look him. You come na look him, number you sabe. Mila ask him Minister of Works na to bled makam look him na look sabe.
You got point over there, Honorable Member of Minister.
Inablo talking him sit down because they will cause trouble.
Honorable, you got point over there, one point over there, Honorable
Thank
Minister.
you, Mr. Speaker. My point of order is actually in relation to the question that has been crafted by the Governor for Medeng, that is asking a question on the state of the Medeng roads and when they will be sealed. And I understand he's putting that question to the Prime Minister. What the Governor failed to state was this issue is actually before the National Court. The National Court commenced proceedings in January 2021, summoning provincial government, the DDA, the Governor, myself, to establish who is responsible for the repairs of the Medeng town roads. And after making inquiries, gave specific orders, both dated in January 11th, as well as the 12th of June, and directing responsibility specifically on sections of the road to both the provincial government and the Medeng DDA, also directing the provincial government make available funds, as the DDA in terms of expending the national funds appropriated by the national government. So if the question is in relation to what is the future plans by the Prime Minister on Medeng town roads, then I would say that he would be able to answer that. If he is delving into an issue that is currently before the court, and the direction of the court, that it may be seen to be subjudicious. So, also, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to correct a statement by saying 10 million was made available by the former government. It is not correct. 10 million was made available in 2020 budget and was fortunately released in December 24th, 22nd of 10.9 million. Those funds have been released. They are with the DDA. The National Court has issued directions on how that money will be expended in the repairs. And 10 million again has been released this year.
Honorable,
so
Honorable Minister, the Chair interrupts you here. I believe your point of order is out of order. The Prime Minister will be answering that question. You are now answering that question which the Honorable Governor of Medeng is asking. So, Honorable Governor, you ask him, Blue.
Thank you, Speaker. I think the young member is all over, because when I speak about the 10 million kina, is the money that sealed the road in the heart of Medeng by the former government. If you drive to Medeng, you'll see its road has been sealed already, and it was appropriated in 2011. And it was...
Honorable Governor, may you ask your question to the Prime Minister?
Now. Speaker, my question is very simple. All I want to see is that the road is sealed. Because the Medeng is the heart of Papua New Guinea. It's not for Peter Yama. We have a heart of, we have a university there, we have everything there in Medeng. Medeng is a very big city, just like Mount Hagen, just like Ley, Rabaul, and other places throughout Papua New Guinea. All I want to see is the money that has been appropriated for Medeng is not being used for Medeng for the purpose of sealing the road and getting the road to the standard. So my question is, Prime Minister, I appreciate that the last government and this government has appropriated 38.9 million kina for our Bogia road, now which ADB is building. And that is welcome by the people of Medeng. But the problem we have is because our Bogia road is very emstablo kona place long Bogia ya. Na plan di man na kara no nabla use him. Suppose the 39 million kina come from Medang Town Road. And but look more better. Just like question below me before me ask him, Speaker. One kind of 400 million kina you put him along backside long Geru Road. You put him along Taroma Road. This black and tribe la money go low, but plan the money no use him road. All I'm saying is, Speaker, when will at least such money like this will be put into Medang Town roads? So the town is for every one of us, members sitting here, you go in and out because your children go to Medang to school, and you like coming to Medang. And all we are asking for is, when will Medang Town Road be sealed? Because all the cars are now running on the dust road. And I have no money such like this appropriate in my budget. I have no money to get Medang Seal Road. Somebody should answer the questions. I've been knocking door on the Prime Minister's office almost 2 or 3 times already on the same issue. And the member for Medang is partly responsible for this. He's putting a stop to it.
Honorable Governor, may you please
question.
ask your question? You are making statements after statements.
My question is, when will Prime Minister appropriate certain money that he promised me and the people of Medang that he will get it done? When will he do it? That's my question. When will we put a 2-lane road from the Divine to the airport of Medang, which he promised me? When will he do it? I got only 6 months to go before I go for election. When will he do it? He's going to all over Papua New Guinea. Medang hasn't put his foot down in Medang yet. When will he come to Medang? That's my question. Why is he listening to the member? That's his last time in the parliament.
Okay. Honorable Prime Minister.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House law asking question. Governor, I got all got a right law express him thinking on behalf of people blogging. So please all not ministers, the members, you must have knock and pili belpen. Time all upside ask him, man ask him. You must have government law harem kind question and to the best of ability, help where we can help. Mr. Speaker, money allocation lo medeng no problem lo mipla. To the best ability, when money mipla ken lo budget, and I need lo thinking blom kerabim ogarab lo country. Mipla last 2020 and 2019 imi starting 2020 and 2021 imi tram lo. Till him fairly money logarab. All big town roads imi tram lo put him 10 million each. Lickligol district road nakanasem 4 million, Sambla 5 million. Including Kanasem, Mibla put in 5 million time, former Prime Minister Iguatu. Last Willie Road, Mibla put in 5 million of budget law. Mlo Pangia too. Talk out, we must go straight. You know, Mibla try unfair logger up. One can know same, Lo Medeng, Mibla put in money too. Medeng Mibla put in money too now. Big man loves to talk lifestyle. You make Leo says I talk more gammon than Mibla supply isa. So last Wiru, road is stopped. Plenty of country, you try and put in money, lick. Enough long, try and best long, walk long, machine, you can't blog at a hub. Me like talk sorrow, Medeng governor, supposed to walk in or start yet long, Medeng. There's about 10 million last year allocated, and now, member of Medeng, Minister of Justice confirming, also 10.90 go out this road. Advertisement, you may walk in. Money, you may put in the budget. But Namel is a fight Namel or Yumiol governor and Yumiol member too, so I go big play yet. Now, Mibla also government staff also me mix him some toilet paper and Ibla can rub him toilet on top yet. The problem in money to the best ability, one of them lickly me can allocate him, try and tell him fairly. But plenty of time in the contest between governor power play and member power play, these sort of projects are sabotaged and harmed in between. But me like talk also me like talk whether government or provincial government scheme, governor or provincial government scheme, or member or DDA kiss him, or at the national government works department is running, all in the interest and business for grabbing work like this place. Now me like talk sorrow of Madang people. Also me can feel him where governor come from. Some of the time me plus of hide na kissing win lo Madang na me clear lot want to talk pisin na me tromai. Time lo mi lo come lo up, me come put him on blood date, but me like look him this la road yeah progress lo road at the moment. National Court direct him. You may all get along national government province and district long finding solution of this plan. National government release him finish 10 million a budget long last year go out. Lo works department. DDA go long court. Okay. Court give him order. Na money go sit on DDA na me clear.
as we speak, some work take place. And to the people of Madang, long Wharf, come long Mildas, come pass long Yomba, Divine Wood, Nabaguanta, finish long road 10 of long 4 mile, na go back long airport, this lab, first 5 kilometer, people put him the program, you may seal him, go down Ogada. Governor talk, former government making work lab. Me go come lab last 10 years, na me no looking plan the work lab too. Me must talk out, na talk straight. Cement work, 400 meters cement work, and me looking come up at the cost of 3 million kina. 400 meters, Namelong town. Me Kilelo Medang good, na me talk out this plan, Mr. Speaker. At me put in this like 10 million last year and 10 million this year. Whether provincial government sponsored procurement working, or district authorities sponsored procurement making, or national government, you may pulling, national government, you may get procurement stuff. A lot of people working, like giving this road, long people are making instead of fight. 20 million, last year 10, this year 10 million. Aiming up Silim Road from Wharf, Port area, coming up Loyomba, finishing roundabout Loyomba, go on top of along, turn up the main road, Ramu Highway. So me like asking more leaders from Medang. Some of the time, instead of me pulling, tight him, go, let them national government, and not just Medang, but you may all have long country. Governor and a member pull him, lose him, a lot of national department make him also something to do about right. But to the people of Medang, if this road he take mature, me ask him, now me like talk, thank you long. I think Franco Asenko Kramer, only offer him independent service floor without paying more. So when we assess him, road and let him road to Medang town, he come up right because I'm hometown of Mipla.
You make that point of order. What a point of order, Governor?
Point of order is, you see, now he's speaking because Frank Alsego, there is clear conflict of interest because member for Medang, that's his uncle. That's where the money is, and this is where you can't allow in this highest office of this land. Prime Minister must put his foot down and say what he's doing is wrong. There's clear conflict of interest, giving money to his own uncle. You can't do that, Speaker. This is why now I'm happy to hear from the Prime Minister. There's something that has been hidden is now coming up clear on the floor of Parliament.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, me no complete him statement lo me na senior governor me come inside. Me to awesome. This like firm Franco Kramer Senko. Me indicate him long works department na DDA. Also make him work free of charge long assist him. This la road all working must work to specification. This road, Mr. Speaker, as I know, as we speak, you know this company making the road. I think I'll engage him, Mr. Speaker, on record. I think DDA company or company blow or machine blown works. We know clear, but they indicate to me road is start. So, Mr. Speaker, may I give him assurance, the people of Madang. This road, me find out, me go away.
You may get now a point of order.
I do not want the Prime Minister to mislead Parliament. No private company will give free of charge service. And if you check properly, that particular engineering company has been paid money to do the job. Check your records properly, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable, you may get now a point of order. What's your point of order, Honourable Minister?
I will make it brief. A statement has been made. Now, if other members here, including the opposition, want to make allegations, he can go out and make those allegations and be held accountable if he can't prove them. So the Prime Minister has made a statement, and I can reaffirm. Prime Senko has not received one toya and will never receive one toya. So they're a national company that throughout the Pacific, yes, and so they've agreed to provide pro bono. And certain companies do provide pro bono, those who have reputable backgrounds. Thank you.
Okay, talks have all the honourable members also. Chair, no have entertaining more any point of order in relation to this question. By Larry Prime Minister now answer him now because you may over Lord question time finish.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been finishing up also. We said got issue along this whole company, ombudsman staff, courthouse staff, go make a report as well. No need look, I'm talking later as well, Lucy. But fact remains, work is start finish. Me sincerely talk sorrow of Medang Provincial Government Assembly, suppose to come through pathway along provincial government, but work is start. But me follow up, looking work all on up. Medang Town Road remains our priority, just like Ogada Town Road, the country. We have over 100 kilometers of town road in our country. If you spend 2 million kina per kilometer for a standard two-way lane,
That's almost 200 to 300 million kina just on town road again. So for Medeng, you may not get full money, but every year we will commit in not just Medeng but all our major town roads, at least 10 million every year going forward until 2025. That we could refix the face of all our town roads by the time our country stands celebrating 50 years of independence in 2025. Like that, Medeng, we started last year with 10 million, this year another 10 million, next year another 10 million, going forward until 2025, hopefully, face from Medeng and smile again, a beautiful Medeng come out place clear. Thank you too much.
Honorable members, some question time, and we come here to finish. And my brother Marco Kata, Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Leave granted. Leave granted. Leader of Government Business, move your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent A, notice number 247, private business being called forthwith. B, the Prime Minister and Minister for Bougainville Affairs presenting a ministerial statement on the national update on Bougainville peace process.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Notice number 247, Honorable Nick Kuman, member for Bumini.
Honourable Member for Gumini.
Mr. Speaker, I present the organic law on the national and local level government elections amended law 2021.
Mr. Clerk.
First reading, a proposed law to amend the organic law on national and local level government elections.
In accordance with Standing Order 222AA and the practice of Parliament, the proposed law now stands referred to the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Constitutional Laws and Acts and subordinate legislation. Minister's statement, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in my capacity as Minister for Bougainville Affairs to update this House on the important work that continues to take place to secure a long and lasting peace in the autonomous region of Bougainville. As all members of this Honourable House know, sustaining peace and reaching a lasting political settlement for the people of Bougainville has been a long-term national objective. It is an objective that I as Prime Minister and us as body of leaders must face head-on. Mr. Speaker, we have come a long way from the day in 2001 when the Bougainville Peace Agreement was signed. We have fulfilled many of our obligations, including the establishment of the autonomous government in Bougainville, the transfer of a range of powers and functions, and a significant economic investment to restore services and infrastructure destroyed during the conflict. This was the work of successive governments, and I say thank you for all governments since the government of the late Sir Mekere Morata, the government of Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, the government of the Honorable Peter O'Neill, and up till today. And whilst the pace of change has not always been as quick as we all would have liked, we have, however, significantly sustained peace in the region for the last 20 years. But, Mr. Speaker, this does not mean there is enough room for complacency. As all members of this House are very much aware, a key pillar of the Bougainville Peace Agreement was a non-binding referendum on Bougainville's political future. And as members of this House are also aware, it was our government, or this government, that finally delivered on that commitment. Whilst the successful conduct of the referendum is both important and symbolic, we must not lose sight of the steps that must now be followed. Under the terms of the Bougainville Peace Agreement and our national constitution, the two governments must consult on the outcome and a proposed long-term political settlement be made. Mr. Speaker, as honourable members are aware, the referendum was conducted in November 2019. It resulted in 97.7% of eligible voters selecting the independence option over the alternative of greater autonomy. In January this year, Mr. President Ismail Torama and I issued a joint communique where we committed to a process of consultation on the outcome of the referendum to deliver on the next stage of the peace process. Mr. Speaker, to date, 2 post-referendum consultations have taken place, the first in Kokopo, East New Britain Province in May 2021, followed by a second in Wabek, Enga Province, just last month. Allow me to please place on record my thank you and appreciation to both the East New Britain and Enga provincial governments for being wonderful hosts to these very important meetings. I will now brief the House on the details of these meetings and the other actions that have taken place over the course of the year. Mr. Speaker, the first meeting of the Joint Supervisory Body, or JSB, for 2021 took place in Arawa on the 5th of February 2021. This meeting provided the two governments with the opportunity to consider a range of issues that relates to the broader peace process. Discussions included resolutions carried forward from previous meetings, the process of accelerating the drawdown of powers to the ABG, and the framework to guide the post-referendum consultations. Mr. Speaker, the meeting resolved to address several critical issues. This included a commitment to sign the sub-agreement which will accelerate the transfer of powers from the national government to the autonomous Bougainville government, an economic and investment summit to be held in Bougainville later this year, and a commitment or recommitment to transfer the national government's holding in Bougainville Copper Limited to the autonomous Bougainville government. We also discussed continued work to support the fisheries sector, which, as members of this House know, is a critical part of our economy. We spoke about the development of fisheries revenue sharing arrangements and the need for broader tax reform. We considered how we could jointly support and empower SMEs and resolved to continue to address legacy financial issues, including the establishment of a one-line budget system for the ABG. Mr. Speaker, a key outcome of the meeting was an agreement to sign what is known as the sub-agreement, named for the Sub-Memorial Center where our work took place, and I am pleased to advise this House that ABG President, the Honourable Ismail Toroma, and I signed the agreement on 13th of May 2021. Under the terms of the agreement, the two governments have agreed to vary the 12-month notification process and capacity access requirements outlined in Section 295 of the Constitution so that immediate work on the transfer of powers can take place. Mr. Speaker, the intention of the sub-agreement is to put in place a process that enables the rapid transfer of powers and resources to the ABG with a priority on those powers that support economic development and growth. Clearly, this will require continued efforts and momentum on the part of both the national government and the ABG. Simply put, we cannot transfer powers unless we transfer the capacity and resources required for ABG to administer those functions. That is why the two governments have agreed that work to implement the sub-agreement will take place using a sector-based approach. Mr. Speaker, under this approach, the National Coordination Office of Bougainville Affairs, or NCOBA, will coordinate with key national government agencies by sector to develop a comprehensive plan to facilitate the drawdown of powers and support the transfer of all necessary resources and capacity to ABG agencies. This process is already underway, Mr. Speaker. Since my government was elected, we have transferred powers in relation to lands policy, and we have finalized the full transfer of human resource powers to ABG Public Service. We are also well advanced in work to draw down law and justice powers, enabling the ABG to strengthen and support mechanisms that sustain peace and law and order. Mr. Speaker, this work has been aided by continued funding support, including the transfer of much-needed funds held in trust by the Internal Revenue Commission and continued interim payments to support the fishery sector. All of this is laying a foundation to secure Bougainville's long-term economic future, but much more remains to be done. That is why I intend to convene a summit of key department and agency heads, along with responsible ministers later this month or next month, so that we could continue to make sustainable progress over the coming year. Mr. Speaker, the first joint post-referendum consultation between the two governments was held from Monday 17th to Wednesday 19th of May 2021 at the Gazelle International Hotel in Kokopo, East New Britain Province. The former United Nations Resident Coordinator, His Excellency Mr. Gianluca Rampolla, chaired the meeting, and I want to place on record my deep appreciation for Mr. Rampolla's support, not just to the Bougainville peace process, but throughout Papua New Guinea during his 3-year tenure. Mr. Speaker, the first consultation provided an opportunity for both teams to come together to negotiate how best to put forward respective positions and to consider an approach in moving them forward. The key outcome of the first joint consultations are as follows, Mr. Speaker. A joint leaders summit, a statement, I beg your pardon, agreeing to consult on the definition and process of ratification and to identify the constitutional issues relating to the referendum result and the tabling of the consultation outcomes in the National Parliament. Secondly, a commitment to develop a joint roadmap on the post-referendum consultations. And lastly, agreement to fully implement the sub-agreement as a matter of urgent priority. Mr. Speaker, leaders also agreed to the immediate establishment of a joint secretariat for the post-referendum consultation process, and that 2025 be set as a date target for the outcome of the joint consultation process to be tabled before the National Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the second post-referendum joint consultation took place on Wabek on 6th of July 2021. The meeting provided an opportunity for the two governments to discuss further steps. The meeting focused on the development of a timeline for the full implementation of the agreed political settlement. Mr. Speaker, at this juncture, I should note that during the meeting, the ABG put forward a range of proposals and steps to guide the process. In reviewing this, the national government team formed the view that many of these steps were neither practical nor lawful within the context of the process prescribed under our national constitution. Examples included a request from ABG to assume powers and functions prescribed under Section 289 of the National Constitution, which are national government functions that involve sovereignty, such as defense, border control, foreign relations, and the regulations of telecommunication. Mr. Speaker, our legal advice has indicated that it is not possible to progress the constitutional amendments to transfer these powers to ABG until such time as the National Parliament, as the final decision-making authority in our country, has decided in accordance with Section 342 of the Constitution on what form of final political settlement it should take. This extends to any declaration of a political settlement and any associated constitutional amendments that may be required for the settlement to be fully implemented. Mr. Speaker, other issues raised by ABG included convening a constitutional planning commission, establishment of a self-government in Bougainville, amendments to repeal the existing autonomy provisions under Part 14 of the Constitution, and the finalization of a treaty to govern relations between Papua New Guinea and Bougainville in the future. Legal advice is that all these actions cannot take place lawfully until the National Parliament has determined the final political settlement, and these will be matters for further discussions when the two governments next meet. Notwithstanding these technical issues, the proposed roadmap does include two important milestones, Mr. Speaker. The first is a final proposal, proposed political settlement together with the referendum results will be put to the National Parliament for a possible vote in 2025. Mr. Speaker, may I offer a side note here? From 2001 up till today, the word was ratification. In the two consultations that took place in Kokopo and Wabek, a clearer view on what ratification entailed came into picture. And let me say thank you very much to our team from Bougainville and the ABG for recognizing that national constitution ranks supreme and the authority to discuss these issues are only on the National Parliament floor. And in the Wabek meeting, I give it to them. They came out clearly and they appreciate our in the final move towards our government. The resting place of these discussions will take place and must take place in the National Parliament. And we did have an indication on 2025 as a date in which matters, in as far as constitutional amendments are concerned, will be brought in and around this date. Then, subject to the National Parliament agreeing to the proposed political settlement in whatever form that may take, implementation should occur in 2027. Mr. Speaker, I want to be clear on this point. Despite some media reporting otherwise, neither I nor the government have made any commitment to ABG that independence will be the final outcome. In fact, neither I nor the government or any one of us for that matter have any lawful authority to make such commitment. But I did make a point in Wabek that any commitment from any one of us will be seditious because our constitution is absolutely silent on the notion of independence from one part of our country. But having said this, I appeal to this House to understand Bougainville and the peculiarity Bougainville is and the process in discussion that has started from the birth of the 2001 peace agreement. And Mr. Speaker, it was indicated the final decision-making authority is vested in the sum of this Parliament, the National Parliament, and only this House may determine what the final outcome will be, Mr. Speaker. As I've already stated, the ABG have proposed a range of activities and actions as part of the proposed joint roadmap. Many of these cannot lawfully occur until at such time that the Parliament has made those critical decisions, opening up the pathway for the next phase to take place. In this view, I have asked that all necessary resources be made available to map and support the legal process going forward. This will involve key agencies which include the Department of Justice and Attorney General, the Office of the State Solicitor, and the Constitutional Law Reform Commission, working together to provide practical advice and guidance to support the consultations going forward. Mr. Speaker, it is critical that the autonomous Bougainville government and all Papua New Guineans understand the legal processes and the limitations under existing constitutional arrangements to talk about the independence issue. In short, at no time should the consultations and any proposed political settlement go ahead of the process prescribed in the Constitution. The stakes for our nation are higher than they have ever been before, and we must ensure that the Constitution and rule of law prevails at all times. This must be based on the will of Parliament and not a predetermined timeline that we are working on. Until a final decision is made, the existing constitutional provisions in relation to the autonomous Bougainville, government in Bougainville will prevail, and nothing shall undermine the sovereignty of our nation. Mr. Speaker, allow me now briefly to report on the outcomes of the WABEC meeting of the Joint Supervisory Body that took place on the sidelines of the post-referendum consultations. Key outcomes from that meeting included updates on the implementation of the SHAP agreement and a resolution to adopt the sector-wide approach for implementation that I discussed before, and an update on the Bougainville Economic and Investment Summit to be held in November 2021, and an update on the transfer of BCL shares. Mr. Speaker, the meeting also resolved to undertake a process to repurpose and restructure NCOBA to better equip to support its work in the post-referendum environment, including the post-referendum secretariat. As the Vice Minister of Bougainville Affairs, the Honorable Peter Semaleli will note in his update, this work is already well underway, and we hope to have some firm recommendations to enhance the operation and institutional capacity of NCOBA in the upcoming months. Mr. Speaker, before I conclude, let me address the issue of national awareness in relation to the post-referendum consultation. A critical part of the consultation process will involve a national awareness campaign to educate all Papua New Guineans, including Bougainvilleans, on the process going forward. And I repeat, a very critical part will be a national consultation. In WABEC, we made it absolutely clear to give birth to this country, there was a national consultation, and our Constitution secured the sovereignty and the boundaries we have today. To possibly unbundle one part of our country away from us may require the same process, nationwide consultation, including consulting Bougainvilleans. And in the consultation awareness, the peculiarity of Bougainville issue will be raised, so all part of our country also take recognition of the peculiarity of the Bougainville situation. And hopefully in the process, in the next few years, by the time these matters are presented to Parliament in 2025, we are all better educated about Bougainville and what needs to be done, and Parliament in clear conscience can make its call around 2025. It is clear from some of the statements that has been made by our friends from Bougainville that expectations for independence are to be laid. This is expected. They took mandate on leadership on the island on the back of independence, and they've made these statements. But these statements cannot be spoken in isolation. We must give all our people factual information so that they can understand the context of process that must be followed, the process as prescribed by a constitutional law, and meaning that consultation and constitutional amendment must take precedent. The fact is that independence is one possible option, but as I have consistently said, nothing can be predetermined. Nothing can be predetermined. The consultation must be allowed to take the course. Then the Parliament will decide. Mr. Speaker, that is why it is crucial that all Papua New Guineans have a say on this process. The future of a nation is at stake, which is why Cabinet recently endorsed a national communication and awareness strategy that will see us consult across the length and breadth of our nation for the next few years. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, I have made it all clear to all ministers that they must ensure that they remain engaged in the consultation process. The fact is that when the national government meets with the ABG team, we must have an informed and unified position. This requires that ministers be briefed by respective departments and agency heads on the progress that is being made in respect to the drawdown of powers and issues and the implication related to the future political settlement. By ensuring that we put in place strong systems and process to enhance ministerial engagement, we can better prepared and able to respond to and address any concerns that may be raised now and into the future. And at this juncture, let me encourage all our government agencies to ensure they stay engaged with Bougainville We want to transfer all powers to Bougainville except the sovereignty powers, and to ensure Bougainville functions very well as a special region in our country, and all ministers have been tasked that whatever powers is agreed to under the SHAP agreement and whatever powers that we need to devolve, we must pass. This has been outstanding for many, many years under the autonomous arrangement, has not taken place. And under my watch, we want to fully empower Bougainville to ensure they have all powers except the sovereignty issue related powers, and we will work them through into the next term. Mr. Speaker, I have spoken for a long time. This is indicative of just how important the issue of Bougainville's long-term future is to Parliament and to our nation. We must continue to adhere to the Bougainville Peace Agreement and, of course, our national constitutional laws. In doing so, we must hold firm to what was agreed almost 20 years ago, ensuring that we laid a foundation for enduring peace, but not just peace, Mr. Speaker, if I could add to conclude, to establish a final political settlement in Bougainville. That is a win for them, and that is also a win for us in the context of us maintaining our national sovereignty. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I commend this statement to our House.
Honourable members, Parliament now is suspended for lunch to 2 o'clock p.m.